Sin City Deciples Motorcycle Club. The Sin City Deciples Motorcycle Club, also known as Sin City Nation, is a mixed-race, one-percenter outlaw motorcycle club. As one of the most well-known and oldest black outlaw motorcycle clubs in the United States, they have multiple chapters across the nation and have an additional presence in Canada, Europe, Asia, Australia, and South America. Additionally, the organization has many support clubs across the U.S. and select states. Background: the Sin City Deciples Motorcycle Club was founded in Gary, Indiana in 1966. Only later did the club establish a chapter in Las Vegas, commonly known as Sin City. Members of the group have described the organization as a one-percenter club. Though primarily composed of black men, the club affirms that it is, in fact, open to men of all races and ethnicities. The Sin City Deciples have chapters in the following American states: Iowa, Connecticut, New York, Maryland, West Virginia, North Carolina, Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Nevada, D.C., Alabama, Ohio, Colorado, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Virginia, Tennessee, Nevada, Georgia, Kentucky, Wisconsin, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Missouri, South Carolina, Florida, Washington, California, Mississippi, and Utah. The popular motto, "Death Before Dishonor," is utilized by the group, as well as the phrase "Disciples Forever," Disciples abbreviated as DFFD. Additionally, the Sin City Disciples make use of the term 1934 expressly used to signify the numerical initials of the group: 19th letter of the alphabet equal S, 3rd letter of the alphabet equals C, and 4th letter of the alphabet equal D. Members of the motorcycle club refer to each of their clubhouses as City Hall. The club is reportedly allied with the Dahuru and Mixed Breed. Some of the group's support clubs include the Street Misfits MC, Black Angels MC, Dembos MC, So Solid Riders MC, the Saddle Busters MC, and Sean's MC. While historically the Sin City Disciples has required that all members own and ride Harley-Davidson motorcycles, riders of metric bikes, including sport bikes, are able to join the Disciples' sibling club, the Sin City Titans. The Sin City Disciples are rivals with the Wheels of Soul Motorcycle Club. Criminal allegations and incidents. The revenue of the Sin City Disciples reportedly comes from the sale of illicit drugs, and they are regarded as a criminal organization by law enforcement. The earliest documented instance of the group's run-in with the law dates back to July 1968, when a pair of Sin City Disciples members were arrested and charged with raping a white woman in Gary, Indiana. The arrests subsequently sparked racial tensions and resulted in local riots that led to lootings. In response, curfew laws were put into effect, and hundreds of police, in addition to 550 members of the National Guard, were deployed with the intent of suppressing the conflict. The riots went on for days and ended with the arrest of 123 African Americans who were charged with assisting arrest. An additional 47 individuals were charged with curfew violations. On January 11, 2009, a Sin City Disciples member by the name of Charlie Joe Coyote Wilson Jr. gunned down 33-year-old Charles Edward Bake Charlie Bevel Jr. in an execution-style shooting. The murder, which took place on an interstate road in Birmingham, Alabama, stemmed from a gang conflict, as Bevel had been the president of a rival biker gang to the Sin City Disciples, sure enough. 3 Sin City Disciples were stopped by authorities while they were riding in a car en route to the annual Bikers Roundup in Hampton, Georgia on August 6, 2006. The vehicle was searched where drugs and weapons were uncovered. The driver, Ernest Jackson, was arrested for speeding and theft, while passenger Melvin Butcher was charged with drug possession and theft. The third passenger, Vernon Rogers, was also charged with theft and received harsher theft charges on account of being a convicted felon. Following an FBI investigation, 4 members of the belonging to the Cleveland, Ohio chapter of the Sin City Disciples were indicted on check fraud charges: Vincent Gutter Butler, George Joe Hannett, Donnell Life Milton, and Deont Smoke Sullins. The individuals had allegedly purchased 25 vehicles and 2 stereo systems with fully checks from sellers on various online marketplaces such as Craigslist. After buying many of the automobiles, they were resold and slashed or stripped down for parts. Some of these vehicles were found at the group's old clubhouse in Cleveland. On June 7 of 2011, an unidentified biker was spotted throwing a flammable item through the window of the group's Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania clubhouse before departing from the scene in a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. An individual named Virgil Means attended a party at the Sin City Disciples Colorado Springs chapter clubhouse on March 2 of the year 2011. He ended up being beaten and forcibly thrown out of the premises after a brawl erupted in the compound. He later returned by car with a friend to collect his wallet, but was attacked by 3 Sin City Disciples: Christopher Montje, John Burrell, and Eric Bartholomew. He later died in the hospital after sustaining a gunshot wound. 5 individuals were arrested for their involvement in the homicide. The Sin City Disciples Clubhouse in Pittsburgh was torched yet again on June 26 of 2012. In Dayton, Ohio, an unidentified member of the Sin City Disciples in Cincinnati attacked a member of the Taurus Motorcycle Club on March 10 of the year 2013. According to the victim, Dallon Lauderdale, he had run into a group of Sin City Disciples and both parties exchanged words until one of the bikers used a machete on him. The assault yielded significant bleeding and a fractured skull for Lauderdale, requiring multiple stitches. The assailant remains unidentified. A road rage conflict occurred between a car driver and an intoxicated Sin City Disciples member James L. Norman in August 18 of 2014 on Highway 41 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. After believing that the car had cut him off, Norman sped up to the vehicle's side and fired a gunshot through the front window. He was arrested shortly after the incident and charged with attempted homicide, possession of a firearm by a felon, and drunken driving. The victim only sustained minor injuries. In March 2017, Richard Byard was sentenced to a short term in prison for the murder of Dion Nixon. He, along with Rufus Billups, Gregory Clark, another unidentified male, and 3 unidentified females, went to the home of Nixon in response to a female, who belonged to the club as property not as a member, had stated being abused by Nixon. Nixon was the first to open fire on the group. Clark pleaded guilty to reckless manslaughter and Billups to possession of a firearm. October 2021 in Gary, Indiana, 15 members of Sin City were charged with a superseding indictment for racketeering and conspiracy. The charges alleged violence, drug dealing, and even murder for hire. The bust involved many agencies across northwest Indiana, Chicago, and Pittsburgh. In the media, the Sin City Disciples are the subject of a 2019 documentary on Amazon Prime Video entitled Sin City Disciples. They are also featured on another Amazon Prime Video documentary by the name of Ride Free or Die, also released in 2019. The Los Angeles chapter of Sin City Disciples was featured in the 2006 film Crank.